I have a problem with the villagers in Animal Crossing New Horizons. When this game came out in 2020, I spent dozens of hours across numerous months meticulously trying to get every fish and bug donated to the museum. Along with this, I also was trying to grow every flower that could be found in the game. After some time, I finally grew all 54 flower variations and displayed them neatly outside of my museum for everyone to see, but had a random thought after completing this. I've done 99% of the work to make my island flourish, and my villagers do nothing but walk around each day. So I asked myself, what if my villagers could grow every flower for me? When placing flowers near each other in Animal Crossing, you can sometimes find that a new hybrid flower has grown when checking on them the following day. In New Horizons specifically, there are 54 different types that you can grow. We've gotten accustomed to the player doing a majority of the work to develop our towns and islands in each installation of Animal Crossing games, and that includes growing a majority of the flowers. Now I get that it's the whole point to spend time improving your town or island while you play, but what if you didn't have to? How much could be done if you did nothing? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Could my villagers grow every flower in the game without my help? I thought this would be a super simple experiment of just watching my villagers water flowers, but it actually turned into an extremely repetitive challenge that took over 100 days to complete. Now, before I get really deep into just how I can make this work, I first have to deal with two other hurdles existing on my island already. The first being an abundance of overgrown flowers that have taken over my island, and two, finding the 10 perfect villagers to observe that would be attempting this challenge. If you don't know, villagers in Animal Crossing New Horizons have hobbies which might guide how they act while exploring the island. These hobbies can range from music, fitness, fashion, all sorts of things. But the hobby I'm looking for in my animal neighbors is the nature hobby. When a villager has a nature hobby, they sometimes can pull out a book to research a plant they're looking at, but more importantly, they can also water flowers around the island. See where this is going? Now I know you might be thinking, I've seen all sorts of different villagers on my island watering flowers without having the nature hobby, so why do they need this? While it is true that villagers without the nature hobby can water plants, the reason we want ones with it is because they are the only ones who can water multiple flowers at a time. This means they won't put the watering can away after watering a single patch of flowers, and instead might turn to another patch and water that one too, which increases our chance of new hybrid flowers. For this challenge to work as quickly as possible, I'll need all 10 of my villagers to have this hobby, and right now, only 2 of them do. We'll come back to that, but for now, let's talk about the abundance of overgrown flowers, weeds, and trees that have taken over my island. The island we're currently walking around is the same one from my gyroid video I made a while back. While recording that video, I time traveled frequently in order to find every gyroid as quickly as possible, but this led to nearly half of my island being covered in a variety of flowers due to the time traveling that occurred during the challenge. When I came up with the idea for this flower video, I wanted to be fair and start with a clean slate. That means starting with 0 flowers on my island and tracking each new one that grows, and in order to do that, I needed to remove the hundreds of flowers that have grown across my island. The hours it would take to dig up all of these flowers one by one really turned me off from the idea of doing this video in the first place, but then I remembered I didn't have to do it alone. I hopped on stream and invited over some good friends from the community to help dig up the flowers. After nearly 15 minutes of waiting for everybody to fly over, Nintendo please fix the online multiplayer in the next game, we got to work digging. After almost an hour of digging and throwing away every flower on my island, I decided it would be best to cut down the trees too. Sometimes villagers can be found sitting beneath a tree, and I wanted to limit what my villagers might randomly be programmed to do each day. Removing the trees might increase the odds of them watering flowers placed outside their homes instead. We were about 10 minutes into removing trees, and someone mentioned that they weren't able to pick up the hardwood that was cut. You can't pick up hardwood? Really? Alright, is your inventory full? What a weird thing to happen. A moment later, someone else said they couldn't pick it up either. Then, this happened. I know. we're all spinning. Oh, someone disconnected. Did everybody get booted? Wait a minute. Oh. Uh-oh. No! What happened? All the flowers are back! Oh, Chad, I think we broke the game. For whatever reason, the game kicked everybody off my island and respawned about half the flowers that we had dug up previously. My theory is that because we left so many holes on the ground after picking up the flowers, the game struggled to keep everything loaded in the background while we cut down trees too. If you know anything about how games are made, or maybe know why my friends couldn't pick up the items and eventually kicked everybody out, let me know with a comment below. I'd love to know exactly what happened. Eventually, everybody came back over and we removed the flowers, again, and also successfully cut down every tree. Step 1 of the island prep was complete. I spent the next few days cleaning up extra things found around the island and inviting over some of the villagers that the chat helped me pick out. I mapped out a spot for each villager and began moving their homes. The plan was to wake up each day and have an easy path to walk through to see which new flowers grew each day. After moving the homes, the next step was to plant the common flowers outside of each one. I first headed to Nook's Cranny on my island and bought all the seeds that I could. After purchasing these, I took a ride on Captain's boat and dug up a ton of differently colored hyacinths, then traveled to some of my friends' islands to get the last few flower seeds I needed to start. I got back and planted the mini seeds that were in my pocket in a specific way that my partner mapped out for me. She spent some time figuring out a nice way to lay 15 flowers neatly outside of each villager's home, which would optimize the chances of new hybrids. Now that everything was planted, we could officially begin. The journey started on May 30th, 2025, or as I'm calling it, Day 0. The only grown flowers we had were the hyacinths I dug up from the day before. All of the other flowers still needed a few days to grow in fully before given the chance to grow hybrids, but that didn't stop the hyacinths from making the first new flower grow. Yesterday when I was planting seeds, I came across Goldie outside of Sherb's yard watering all of the hyacinths, and luckily that gave us a leg up before the challenge really started. I found an orange hyacinth from the flowers she watered, which marked the first of 54 flowers needed to complete this challenge. Sort of. Although this is a hybrid color of a flower we don't have, I still need to keep it out to be watered by the villagers. There are a lot of different flower variations, and some of them need special colors in order to get an even newer hybrid. For example, this orange hyacinth is actually the only color that can make the purple hyacinths. Knowing that, I kept it out in hopes the villagers would water it again. If I want to really mark a flower as completed, I'll pluck some of the petals and display it on the patch of dirt next to my house. Think of this area as a trophy room, but instead of trophies, it's just a plot of flower vases. The next day, the flower buds still hadn't fully grown, but this was the first day that all of the 10 villagers on my island were fully moved in after days of scanning in amiibo cards. I found a second orange hyacinth and spotted Sherb and Ruby outside of their homes watering. I traveled forward again, and this time it was raining outside. Rain was something that I planned to rely on frequently during this challenge. Since villagers may not water the flowers each day, I'm hoping that the rainy months of May and June would benefit me and help with growing new hybrids. On this rainy day, I came across 4 new flowers that had grown: a yellow mum, white tulip, orange rose, and pink windflower. I moved some of them over to the empty plots left over from when I initially planted the seeds and time traveled again to see what flowers we would get after the first rainfall on my island. On day 3, the rainfall paid off and granted me 12 new flowers. I rearranged the hybrids that could still produce new colors and moved all the other ones closer to my home, where I would start the following day plucking out petals to start tracking our completed flowers. I also found Meringue, Fauna, and Hornsby all outside watering flowers this day. On day 4, I found something interesting. While checking out the flowers, I came across a pink cosmos from the day before that made a new hybrid without actively being watered on screen. I replayed the footage to see if I may have missed something, and the only villager that was close enough to water the cosmos was Cranston, but he was only sweeping outside. On top of that, none of the cosmos were sparkling as if they had been watered. This made me start to think that flower hybrids may spawn without needing to be watered, or at least watered on screen. I think because Animal Crossing is a game that perceives itself as a world that exists even when you're not playing, it's programmed to continue without you. Let me explain a little bit more on what I mean by that. Have you ever taken a long break from this game and come back to find cockroaches inside your home, overgrown weeds on the island, or in my case, a ton of overgrown flowers? I think this happens because the developers want you to believe that the island or villages in Animal Crossing continue on without you, even when you're not actively checking up on it. I believe this pink cosmos I found was the first example of the game continuing without me, and this discovery might end up helping us in the long run. I have always thought that the hybrids can only spawn if you water them, but really, the watering cans are just used as ways to increase the odds of a hybrid spawning. This means that if the villagers don't water the flowers, I can still get every hybrid if I wait long enough, but just with a lower chance each day. I ended day 4 by officially placing down 9 of the 54 flowers needed. Similarly to the previously mentioned gyroid video, I decided to make an Excel sheet and keep track of what was happening each day during the challenge. This way I can not only keep track of the flowers that I get, but also keep track of things like rainfall and which villagers helped out each day. Fast forwarding to the end of week 1, I had found 16 of the 54 flowers needed. Starting week 2 on day 8, I reorganized some of the flowers outside of the villagers' homes to grow some new colors. On day 9, I organized a bit more and began removing a lot of excess flowers that were growing. Jumping ahead to day 12, we officially found every lily variation, and on day 14, I had found 31 of the flowers needed. It probably feels like I'm going through these days pretty fast and skipping over some details, but the truth is, checking each day was extremely repetitive. I'd wake up, run through each neighbor's yard, check for new colors, reorganize anything that was needed, and throw away the extras. Based on the progress made already, you'd think this challenge wouldn't take too long. We already had found 31 of the 54 flowers needed in only 2 weeks, so what made this drag out? Over the next few weeks, progress was starting to slow down as I needed a good bit of luck to grow special colored hybrids. Since we learned flowers can grow even without villagers watering them, I was basically time traveling to new days to see if I was lucky enough to get the low percentage of rare hybrids to spawn. For example, purple pansies not only need special red hybrids to grow them, but also have a 6% chance of spawning each day. During week 3, slightly rarer flowers such as the purple rose, blue pansy, and green mum were found. I finished finding every mum on day 19 and also checked off all the hyacinths and tulips on day 21 after finding some more rare colors. Starting off week 4, I had found 41 of the 54 flowers needed. This was the beginning of my flower collecting pace, going from a nice jog to a very slow crawl. I spent some time over the next few days really organizing which flowers were still needed and which I could get rid of. While removing a majority of flowers and replacing others, this organization allowed me to bring the total flowers found to 49 out of 54. Starting on day 30, I needed 5 more flowers to complete the challenge. The purple pansy, purple windflower, blue rose, gold rose, and lily of the valley. Now I didn't know this at the time, but the next 5 flowers were going to take over 2 months to find. 11 days later, on day 41, I finally was lucky enough to find a purple pansy and quickly removed all the other ones. 5 days later, I found my first purple windflower and also removed the red windflower hybrids that were needed to get it. The reason I was removing all the flowers after getting these last few remaining hybrids was to lower the chances of getting hybrids I didn't need. The fewer flowers that remain on my island, the higher chance of those ones producing the hybrids I still needed. The last 3 flowers needed were the blue rose, gold rose, and lily of the valley, and for the next 40 in-game days, nothing new happened. The blue rose is a really complicated flower to get, and I found multiple sources online stating their way was the right way to do it, even though they were all different. I ended up trying both ways I found to get it by making a couple different layouts outside the villagers' homes. But after not getting anything for so long, I caved in and let my friend come over to water the black rose with her gold watering can. That way I could progress just a little bit. I know this challenge was all about my villagers helping, and inviting a friend over to water this one basically means I watered it myself. I won't argue that doing this wasn't fair for the challenge, but I genuinely didn't know how else to get the gold rose without my friend doing it, at the time. While writing the script to this video and doing a little bit of research, I discovered that villagers in this game can be gifted watering cans, and these cans would actually replace the current ones they carry. I never ended up trying to gift my villagers a gold watering can, but if any of you know whether or not this is true and can verify that for me with a comment, that'd be great. Apologies for not trying. I was almost 100 days into this challenge and needed something to motivate me, and that something was getting the gold rose with help from a friend. The following day, on day 87, I found the gold rose, bringing the total flowers found to 52. All that was left was the blue rose and lily of the valley. I went live and chatted with some viewers in the stream, and they were convinced the best way to find the blue rose was the red hybrid method. This means having an orange and purple rose make a hybrid red, take those hybrid reds and plant them near each other, and hope you get the 1.6% chance of the blue rose to spawn. They mentioned keeping the reject hybrids that grew from these red roses and planting them next to the main hybrid red roses. Apparently, these ones also had a low chance of spawning blue as well, even though they weren't the direct hybrids made from the original purple and orange roses. It wasn't until day 121 that blue roses finally appeared. I moved them over to the plot where they would grow a petal the following day, marking 53 of the 54 flowers found. All that was left now was the lily of the valley. For those who don't know, the lily of the valley is a flower that can spawn on cliff edges only after reaching 5 stars on your island evaluation, and unfortunately, my island wasn't anything near that. I spent some time researching some of the quicker ways to reach 5-star status, and it turns out there's a hidden scoring system that happens in the background based on what you have on your island. To reach 5 stars, you need at least 8+ villagers, 665 or more points in development, and 450 or more points in scenery. Development points come from things like buildings or structures such as inclines and bridges. It also comes from items that you can place around the island. Scenery points come from things such as flowers, trees, or DIY furniture. I checked in with Isabel before I got started to see my current rating, and the thing she commented on, funnily enough, was my lack of flowers. Along with the mini items I started placing outside, I started planting a ton of flowers over the next few days. I did this method for a few hours and checked back in with Isabel to be told that we have reached 4-star status but still needed more flowers. So I kept on planting and planting until eventually, on day 138 of the challenge, I reached 5-star status. Let's go! 5 stars! We did it! Oh my gosh, okay, now we just need to get the freaking flower. I quickly closed the game and moved forward to the next day where I would find a lily of the valley on one of my island's cliff edges. There it is! Yes, the final flower! Let's go! We did it, chat. After 139 long days, I ran over to the plot of dirt outside my home and placed the 54th and final flower needed to complete this challenge. So the question remains, can Animal Crossing villagers grow every flower without your help? My answer is, kind of. You should probably just play the game normally. It's a lot more simple that way. Thank you for watching. Hello, this is Outro Casey. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I also wanted to say that if you are into Google Sheets and you want to see exactly what happened each day, when I got flowers, which villagers watered the most, stuff like that, there's a link to the Google Sheet that I used while making this video, if that's your sort of thing. I know some people like that in the Dry Road video I did, so yeah. Again, thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.